Welcome back, it's airdrop season. Today we're going to cover part 2 of the underrated airdrops that I think are worth farming at the moment. Make sure you watch part 1. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, but we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to continue off with where we pretty much left off from and cover the remaining 6 different protocols. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Next, we're going to talk about one that I don't think anyone is talking about whatsoever. This one is called Perennial. This one is also on Arbitrum. It is a perp stacks, pretty similar to the other ones. They do have some interesting tokens, including like these Bitcoin squared tokens, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, again, make some trades, provide liquidity, and I think there is a chance that there will be some sort of token here in future. Now, they don't have a point system, unlike Hyperliquid and IntentX, which do. So I don't know, like, if a token is coming for sure, but it's definitely one that no one is really talking about, especially when from my experience on CT or anywhere else right now. So yeah, I think this is another piece of alpha here, but yeah, another perps protocol that I think is worth trading on a little bit here and there if you do have some spare funds. Next, we're going to talk about Rage Trade. Rage Trade is basically a perps aggregator. So think about your DEX aggregators like 1inch, or for example on Solana like Jupiter. This is basically the same thing but for perps. So it will route via GMX, Synthetics, like Quenta, Hyperliquid, and even a few others as well. Pretty cool. I used to use Rage Trade version 1. They had completely different products back then, but now, yeah, Rage Trade version 2, this aggregator works pretty well. Yeah, I think just another one that, of course, just doesn't have a token, but I think potentially will have one in the near future. No points or anything like that, but yeah, just one that I think is worth using. Next, we're going to talk about Elixir. Now, Elixir is this liquidity protocol which basically plugs into not AMM, but order book protocols, including Vertex, but also a variety of others. I think this will also be one that I think is underfarmed. Not enough people are talking about it. Technology is fantastic, really, really interesting. Yeah. All you need to do is basically supply assets. You supply liquidity, you get paid in rewards. These are often trading fees. Pretty easy to do, really. And yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do. You can run a node as well, I believe, if you wanted to. I haven't done that myself, but I think so perhaps that might be a better way to kind of get eligibility for an airdrop if you run an Elixir node. But I'm talking more about using the application and providing liquidity directly there to these different order books. So that could be one way that I think you could do so. Let's see what happens, but I think this one will likely have a token in future as well, and definitely one that's underfarmed and not many people are talking about it. Next, we're going to talk about Renzo. Renzo is a liquid restaking protocol for Ethereum, and essentially on here you can restake your ETH into what we call EZ-ETH. This is by Renzo themselves. Currently over 150 million in total value locked. And one of the great things here is that your ETH basically gets staked into EigenLayer, and you can receive not only Renzo points, but also EigenLayer points. Now, I know that the whole restaking scene is pretty hot at the moment. Everyone seems to be talking about it. I even made a video the other day talking about Kelp DAO and some of the restaking there. I think Renzo is a little bit under the radar compared to Kelp and some of these other LRTs. And so that's why I've put it into this video. Yeah. Let's see what happens, of course, but I think this one could be an interesting one. It's pretty simple to do. Let's say if you had 1 ETH, you just deposit it into here, and that's all you have to do. Now, you can't withdraw at the moment, so please bear that in mind. And of course, we don't know when EigenLayer or Renzo tokens are going to come out. We can just speculate on, potentially sometime this year. I'm pretty sure they will have tokens, but yeah, potentially sometime this year. But yeah, please just be aware that you can't withdraw at the moment. So that is something that you have to take on board. We've got 2 more protocols left, or 2 more things to cover. Next one is going to be Smilee Finance. This is an options protocol on Arbitrum. I haven't talked about them before, but I think it's pretty interesting. It's built on Uniswap, I believe, but they have these interesting strategies where you can get lots of leverage without having to pay funding fees or anything like that. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think I don't know the exact criteria here in terms of what you should do. I'm assuming trading will just be one of the most important things to do. You do have these options that you can buy for Bonk, but also for ETH as well, which is pretty cool. I would potentially just trade a few of these here and there. Some of them aren't particularly expensive. I'm not sure if it's going to be based on volume or number of transactions or anything like that, but I think potentially could be something worth doing. And I think you'll learn a lot if you use an application like this, because it's pretty high tech, pretty complex. But yeah, another cool one for sure. Yes, there are a few other protocols like this: Panoptic, Gamma, and Smilee, of course. All three of them are ones that you could use. I haven't included all three of them because we'd be here all day, but yeah, they are a couple other protocols very similar to this that you can use, and I think we'll have tokens in future. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Scroll, the layer 2. Now, I know that everyone knows about ZK Sync, Linear, and like layer 0, and like some of these big ones. Scroll, whilst it is big, I don't think people are farming it as much, or I think it's definitely a little bit under the radar. And you can see TVL is going up only. There are some pretty decent apps here now, like Ambient, like we mentioned at the start. I think Scroll is certainly one that will be worth a decent amount, and I think it's probably a little bit underfarmed when you compare it to Starknet as well, and some of the others. So definitely one that I have on my radar, definitely one that I'm doing regular transactions on. I think the key here is to use a wide variety of smart contracts. So if you were to go through this list and use all 44 of these applications, I think that would be fantastic. Use them all, once a week. And of course, provide some liquidity, basically get your volume up as well. Do that, and I think you'll be rewarded pretty nicely. So all in all, those are the 12 different kind of underrated applications or protocols. I have actually mentioned a few more actually. Don't get me wrong, there are even more. Like on my airdrop list, I've got like 75 to 100 different protocols. You can't capture them all. We all have limited liquidity and attention. So I think, the rule to me is the same. The 80-20 rule, you get 80% of your rewards from 20% of the total applications. So don't worry too much about trying to capture every single thing. Focus on the ones where the attention is either a little bit underrated, where you think the protocols are really good and will have high valuations, so are underfarmed, or the ones that are just generally going to be massive, like, your layer 0, ZK Sync, Eigenlayer, that sort of stuff, Starknet. Focus on those two specific types. Don't try and focus on like every single one of these. Some of these different applications don't have tokens themselves. So yes, you can kind of farm 2 in 1, but don't get carried away trying to farm ice cream swap, for example. There will be much better opportunities around. Focus on them, and I think you'll be rewarded really nicely. Yes, it is point season, it is airdrop season, everyone's talking about it, but I'm hopefully just trying to educate you a little bit and try to give you like the ideas that I have in my head when it comes to airdrop farming, because you will be rewarded pretty nicely for it, but you got to pick the right stuff. Attention is difficult to give everywhere, especially in a market like now where tickers are flying everywhere, protocols are coming out every single day. How do you know which one to do? These are just some of them that I think are potentially worth going for. So yeah, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on Twitter, give it a like or a retweet. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment down below. Give it a like as well. That really helps me out too. And yeah, we'll be back with plenty more content in the near future.